Oliver Bearman's story begins in the heart of Chelmsford, Essex, where his family's warmth and unwavering support laid the foundation for his blossoming career in motorsport. Born into a loving household, Oliver grew up in an environment that nurtured his curiosity and dreams, though racing was not a deep-rooted family tradition. His father, a businessman with a passion for sports, was instrumental in recognizing Oliver's unique competitive spirit early on. His mother, on the other hand, played the quieter but equally important role of emotional anchor, ensuring that Oliver's ambitions never overshadowed the value of humility and balance in life. While motorsport was not necessarily a family obsession, Oliver's father introduced him to go-karting when he was just a young boy. What began as a weekend hobby soon spiraled into something far greater. Those early days on the karting track were pivotal for Oliver. His natural talent behind the wheel shone through almost immediately. The thrill of the speed, the intricacies of controlling the kart, and the competition lit a fire in his heart that no one could have predicted. There was another key figure in his early life, his older brother, Thomas. Thomas had also dabbled in karting, though he did not pursue it with the same intensity as Oliver would later on. Still, having someone to look up to compete with, and to share in the joys and frustrations of racing, fueled Oliver's passion. Racing became a family affair in many ways. Weekends were often spent at tracks, with his father coaching him on how to improve his lap times while his mother quietly watched from the sidelines, her nerves palpable yet always hidden behind a smile. Oliver's parents were never overbearing, though. They allowed him to grow into the sport naturally, never pressuring him beyond what he wanted for himself. This freedom, combined with their relentless support, gave Oliver the confidence to pursue his dreams on his terms. His father, in particular, had an innate ability to strike the right balance between encouragement and letting Oliver find his own way, reminding him that talent was just one piece of the puzzle. Hard work and resilience would carry him the rest of the way. Though his journey into motorsport seemed spontaneous at first, there were moments that felt almost fated. The Bearman family wasn't entrenched in motorsport history, but once Oliver got a taste for racing, it was as if the sport had been waiting for him all along. His parents, though initially surprised by how quickly he took to it, became his biggest champions, traveling with him to races across Europe, cheering him on as his name began to climb up the ranks in the karting world. Oliver's early family life, with its blend of gentle guidance, fierce love, and endless support, created the perfect environment for his talents to take root and grow. It was a family that believed in following one's passion, and that belief would become the cornerstone of Oliver's journey as he took his first steps toward becoming a racing sensation. Oliver Bearman's journey began on May 8, 2005, in Chelmsford, a modest town in Essex, England. It was a place known more for its rolling countryside than high-speed racing tracks, yet it was here, in this peaceful environment, that the seeds of his remarkable future were first sown. From a young age, Oliver exhibited a boundless energy and curiosity, traits that would later become central to his success on the racing circuit. He was the kind of child who could not sit still for long, always looking for the next adventure or challenge that would allow him to push his limits. His parents quickly noticed his competitive spirit. Oliver had an intensity about him, a determination to succeed in whatever he put his mind to, whether it was playing football in the local park or racing down the street on his bicycle. Even before he understood what motorsport was, his love for speed and competition was clear. His father would often find him tinkering with toy cars, not content to merely play but eager to understand how they worked. It was as if, from the very beginning, Oliver had an innate connection to anything with wheels. Around the age of 7, his first real taste of racing came when his father introduced him to go-karting. What began as a casual family outing to a local karting track turned into a defining moment for young Oliver. The moment he gripped the steering wheel, felt the roar of the tiny engine, and navigated the tight corners of the track, something inside him clicked. Unlike other children his age, who might have been overwhelmed by the noise and speed, Oliver was fearless. He felt at home on the track, the adrenaline giving him a sense of freedom he had never known before. His early karting experiences were a revelation not just for him, but for his family. Though his parents had no deep connections to motorsport, they saw how their son transformed the second he sat behind the wheel. What was most remarkable was his focus. For such a young child, Oliver had an almost unnatural ability to concentrate on the technical aspects of racing. He was quick to learn, always analyzing his performance, and asking his father endless questions about how he could go faster, turn sharper, and outpace his competition. It was clear that Oliver was not simply racing for fun, he was racing to win. As a child, Oliver's personality was a blend of competitiveness and quiet resilience. He was not the loudest or most boisterous boy in his group of friends, but he had a quiet confidence that set him apart. He was thoughtful, always processing the world around him, and this analytical nature translated seamlessly onto the track. His competitive streak, however, was undeniable. He hated to lose, whether in schoolyard games or on the karting track. Yet, he never let failure discourage him, instead, it fueled him. Each loss was a lesson, each mistake a step toward improvement. Fearless in his pursuits, Oliver often sought challenges that would push him further. While some children might shy away from danger or difficulty, Oliver seemed to thrive in it. He enjoyed the sensation of control amidst chaos, whether it was handling a speeding cart or strategizing his next move in a competitive environment. His parents, while always careful to support and guide him, could see that Oliver was driven by something deeper, a desire to test his limits and discover just how far his talents could take him. By the time Oliver entered his teenage years, his karting career had already begun to gather momentum. He was winning local races, catching the eye of coaches and fellow competitors. There was no single moment that made it clear he was destined for greatness, but rather a series of small victories, steady improvements, and an undeniable passion for the sport that set him apart from others. Even in those early years, people around him started to whisper about his potential, the sense that Oliver was not just racing for fun anymore, he was racing toward a future that, though still uncertain, was undeniably bright. In those first few years of his life, Oliver Bearman was already showing signs of the traits that would define his career: a fierce work ethic, an insatiable curiosity, and a fearless approach to life's challenges. Little did he know that the boy who once raced go-karts for fun in the quiet English countryside would one day be competing on the world's grandest stage, with the hopes and dreams of a nation riding on his young shoulders. Oliver Bearman's rise to prominence in the world of motorsport was not a sudden explosion, but rather a steady ascent, fueled by his relentless dedication and undeniable talent. From the moment he first sat in a kart, he was already laying the groundwork for what would become a remarkable career. Yet, it was in his teenage years, as his karting prowess began to transcend local circuits, that the motorsport world started to take serious notice. The first significant turning point in Oliver's journey came in 2017, when he was just 12 years old. Competing in various national and international karting championships, Oliver quickly distinguished himself as one of the top young drivers in the UK. He began racking up victories in events such as the Super 1 National Kart Championships and the Kartmasters British Grand Prix, where his consistency, speed, and racecraft set him apart from his peers. Winning these prestigious karting titles put him firmly on the radar of racing teams and talent scouts who were always on the lookout for the next big thing. It was not just his results that impressed those around him, it was how he achieved them. Oliver had a natural ability to read races, making strategic decisions that belied his youth. While some drivers relied solely on raw speed, Oliver combined it with a razor-sharp tactical mind. He knew when to push, when to conserve his tires, and how to position himself to overtake. It was this combination of intellect and instinct that made him a formidable competitor and a prospect worth watching. By 2020, having built a strong foundation in karting, Oliver made the leap to single-seaters, debuting in the British Formula 4 Championship. This transition marked a critical step in his career, as Formula 4 served as the gateway to the higher echelons of motorsport. Despite being a rookie in a highly competitive series, Oliver immediately made his presence felt. His first season saw him claim multiple podium finishes and victories, showcasing not only his adaptability but also his relentless drive to win. However, it was in 2021 that Oliver's name truly began to circulate among the top teams in motorsport. Racing for Forteg Motorsports in the Italian and ADAC German Formula 4 championships, Oliver delivered a season for the history books. He dominated both series, clinching the title in each championship with a staggering 17 wins combined. It was a performance that left little doubt about his potential to rise to the highest levels of the sport. His dominance in Formula 4 was not just about his raw speed, it was his consistency across different tracks, under varying conditions, that cemented his reputation as one of the brightest young talents in the sport. The 2021 Formula 4 season was a defining moment for Oliver. His double championship victories catapulted him into the spotlight, attracting the attention of leading teams and talent scouts across the motorsport world. It was impossible to ignore a driver who had not only won but had done so in such commanding fashion. Oliver's ability to perform under pressure, combined with his tactical brilliance, caught the eye of not only junior teams but also those with ambitions in Formula 1. His next step was inevitable, a move to Formula 3. In 2022, Oliver joined the highly respected Prema Racing team, a powerhouse in junior single-seater racing that has produced numerous Formula 1 talents. The jump to Formula 3 was a significant one, but Oliver approached it with the same determination and focus that had defined his karting and Formula 4 careers. In his first season, he quickly adapted to the new level of competition and the more powerful cars. While he was up against some of the best young drivers in the world, Oliver's performances continued to stand out, particularly in his ability to extract the maximum from his car even in challenging conditions. It was this adaptability, combined with his ability to thrive under pressure, that caught the attention of the Haas Formula 1 team. In late 2022, Haas announced that Oliver would join their Young Driver Academy, a huge milestone in his career. For a driver still in his teens, being recognized by a Formula 1 team was not just a sign of his potential but a validation of the years of hard work, sacrifice, and commitment that had brought him to this point. Haas saw in Oliver what many had seen before them, a driver with not only the talent but the mentality required to succeed at the highest level of motorsport. The defining moments that put Oliver on the radar of Formula 1 scouts were numerous, but two stand out. The first was his incredible consistency in the 2021 Formula 4 season, where he showed a maturity and racecraft far beyond his years. The second was his debut season in Formula 3, where, despite being a rookie, he displayed the kind of adaptability and composure that are rare even in more experienced drivers. These performances proved that Oliver was not just a rising star, but one who was destined for the very top. By the time Haas extended their hand to bring him into their fold, Oliver Bearman was no longer just a promising young driver, he was a name on the lips of everyone in the paddock, a potential future Formula 1 driver in the making. His journey from karting prodigy to Formula 1 hopeful had been defined by hard work, resilience, and an unshakable belief in his ability to succeed. Each race, each victory, each defining moment was a step toward a dream that now felt within reach. Oliver Bearman's journey to the top of motorsport, while filled with success and promise, was far from a smooth ascent. Like many young drivers striving for greatness, his path was marked by obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt that tested his resilience. These challenges, both on and off the track, would come to define his character and shape the driver he would become. One of the earliest challenges Oliver faced was the fierce competition that comes with climbing the ranks in motorsport. Karting, though seemingly a starting point for many young drivers, is anything but a casual arena. The intensity of the sport at a young age can be overwhelming, especially for a boy barely into his teens. Competing against equally talented and hungry drivers, Oliver often found himself in races where the smallest mistake could cost him victory. There were races where he had the pace to win but lost due to technical issues, incidents on track, or simple bad luck. These moments of disappointment were hard to swallow, especially for someone as fiercely competitive as Oliver. But instead of letting frustration consume him, Oliver used each setback as fuel to improve. He learned to analyze every race, studying his mistakes and focusing on how to come back stronger. One of the most pivotal moments of adversity came during his transition from karting to single-seater racing in British Formula 4. The shift from karts to cars is notoriously difficult for many young drivers, and Oliver was no exception. Formula 4 cars are faster, heavier, and require a different kind of racecraft. Initially, despite his raw talent, Oliver struggled to adapt to the new demands of single-seater racing. He was no longer the dominant force he had been in karting, and this sudden shift in his results shook his confidence. There were races where he expected to perform well, only to find himself grappling with technical issues or battling for positions he once dominated with ease. The pressure was immense, both from within and from those around him who had already begun to view him as a rising star. In particular, there was one race in his debut Formula 4 season that Oliver still recalls as a turning point. He had started the weekend with high hopes, feeling confident in his pace during practice sessions. But during the race, a misjudgment in overtaking cost him several positions, and he finished well outside the points. It was a bitter moment for Oliver, not only because of the result, but because he felt he had let himself down. He vividly remembered the frustration of that day, the feeling of sitting in the car after the race, helmet still on, wondering if he truly had what it took to make it in this highly competitive world. Doubts began to creep in after that race, and for the first time, Oliver questioned whether his dreams of reaching Formula One were realistic. The mental toll of competing at such a high level at such a young age was significant. Unlike many of his peers who pursued normal teenage activities, Oliver was sacrificing much of his adolescence for his racing career. The pressure to succeed, not just for himself, but for his family who supported him every step of the way, was always looming. He knew that motorsport is a fickle world, opportunities can vanish as quickly as they appear. But it was in these moments of self-doubt that Oliver's resilience began to show. Instead of retreating from the challenge, he confronted it head-on. He turned to his family for support, especially his father, who had always encouraged him to keep pushing regardless of the setbacks. His parents reminded him that failure was part of the journey and that true champions are made not by how they handle success, but by how they respond to adversity. Oliver began working even harder, focusing on the areas where he felt he could improve. He spent countless hours reviewing data, working closely with his engineers to understand the car better, and refining his driving technique. Every race, even the disappointing ones, became a learning experience. The frustration that once threatened to overwhelm him was channeled into determination, and it became clear that Oliver was not just talented, he was mentally tough, a crucial trait for any driver hoping to reach the pinnacle of motorsport. In addition to on-track struggles, Oliver also faced the personal sacrifices that come with pursuing a career in racing. The life of a young driver is often isolating. While his friends were living typical teenage lives, Oliver was traveling to race circuits, training, or preparing for the next big event. There were moments of loneliness, where the sacrifices felt heavy, missing out on social events, holidays, and a normal childhood. Yet, he never let these sacrifices deter him. Racing was not just a sport for Oliver, it was his passion, his identity. He knew what he wanted, and he was willing to give up anything to achieve it. Financial pressure also loomed as an ever-present obstacle. Motorsport is notoriously expensive, and even with sponsorship and team backing, the costs of travel, equipment, and training can be astronomical. The Bearman family was not immune to these pressures. Though they supported him wholeheartedly, there were times when the financial burden became difficult to manage. For many young drivers, the lack of funding can mean the end of a career, regardless of talent. Oliver was aware of this reality and the stakes that came with every race. It made each victory sweeter but also added to the pressure to succeed. Despite these challenges, Oliver's turning point came as he began to gather momentum in the 2021 Formula 4 season. Having learned from his earlier setbacks, he returned to the track with a newfound maturity. The victories started to pile up, but more importantly, he regained his confidence. The whispers of doubt were replaced with belief, not just in his talent, but in his ability to handle adversity. He had proven to himself that he could face disappointment and still rise, a trait that would serve him well as he continued his climb up the racing ladder. As Oliver transitioned to Formula 3 in 2022, the pressure increased yet again. Formula 3 is a proving ground for future Formula 1 drivers, and the competition is fierce. The level of scrutiny from teams, sponsors, and fans intensified. Every mistake was magnified, and every success had the potential to shape his future. But Oliver had grown into the pressure. He had learned to compartmentalize the expectations and focus on what mattered, his performance on track. He developed a resilience that allowed him to shrug off bad races and bounce back stronger, a skill that set him apart from many of his peers. There were still moments of disappointment, races where a podium finish slipped through his fingers, mechanical failures that left him fuming, and decisions that, in hindsight, he wished he could change. But each of these setbacks was a building block in his career, teaching him the art of perseverance and patience. Off the track, Oliver continued to hone his mental strength, often speaking about how critical the psychological aspect of racing was in navigating the pressures of elite motorsport. Ultimately, it was his ability to turn adversity into opportunity that caught the attention of the Haas Formula One team. They saw in Oliver not just a driver with raw talent, but a competitor who had been tested by failure and emerged stronger. It was this resilience, born out of countless setbacks, that marked him as a future star, a driver who, despite his young age, had already proven that he could handle the pressures of professional racing. Oliver's journey to the top was far from easy, but the obstacles he faced only sharpened his resolve. Each disappointment and challenge strengthened his determination to succeed. In the face of doubt, he pushed forward, knowing that the road to greatness was not always smooth, but it was always worth the struggle. Oliver Bearman's biggest triumph came during his 2021 season in Formula 4, where he achieved the remarkable feat of winning both the Italian and ADAC German Formula 4 championships. This dual victory not only solidified his reputation as one of the most talented young drivers in the sport, but also marked a defining moment in his career, positioning him as a future Formula One star. The 2021 season was a grueling one, testing Oliver's limits both physically and mentally. Competing in two highly competitive championships simultaneously was no easy task. Each weekend brought new challenges, different tracks, fierce rivals, and the constant pressure to perform. Despite the demanding schedule, Oliver remained unfazed. He approached each race weekend with an unyielding focus, determined to prove that he belonged among the best in junior motorsport. What made this season so significant, however, was not just the results but the resilience he displayed throughout. One race in particular stands out as a defining moment in his 2021 campaign, the final round of the Italian Formula 4 Championship at Monza, the Temple of Speed. Heading into the weekend, Oliver was leading the championship, but the pressure was immense. The historic Monza circuit, with its long straights and high-speed corners, is known for its unpredictability, and the championship could easily have slipped from his grasp. But Oliver had been in this position before. He had faced pressure and adversity throughout his young career, and each time, he had risen to the occasion. The race itself was nothing short of dramatic. As the lights went out, Oliver immediately found himself in a battle with his closest rivals. Every corner, every braking point, and every maneuver mattered. The intensity of the fight was palpable, with drivers swapping positions at breakneck speed. In the midst of the chaos, Oliver kept his cool. He knew that one mistake could cost him the championship, but instead of letting the pressure get to him, he thrived on it. His ability to balance aggression with control was on full display, as he carefully picked his moments to overtake while defending his position with precision. As the laps wound down, Oliver found himself in the lead, but the race was far from over. A late safety car bunched up the field, and suddenly, the gap he had built disappeared. The final laps were a tense battle for survival. His competitors were breathing down his neck, ready to pounce on any mistake. But Oliver remained composed, defending his lead with a maturity that belied his young age. When he crossed the finish line, victorious not only in the race but in the championship, it was a moment of pure elation. For Oliver, that victory at Monza felt like the culmination of years of hard work and sacrifice. As he sat in the car after crossing the line, the roar of the engine replaced by the deafening silence of realization, the weight of the moment began to sink in. He had not just won a race, he had clinched a championship on one of the most iconic circuits in the world. The feeling was indescribable, a mix of relief, joy, and pride. All the long hours of training, the disappointments, and the struggles had led to this moment. He had proven to himself, and to the world, that he had the talent and mental fortitude to succeed at the highest levels of the sport. For his family, the victory was equally emotional. They had been with him every step of the way, from his early days in karting to this crowning achievement. His father, who had introduced him to the world of motorsport, watched from the sidelines with pride, knowing that his son's dream of reaching Formula One was becoming more tangible with every race. His mother, always his quiet source of strength, celebrated the moment with a mixture of joy and relief, knowing how much this victory meant to Oliver. It was a shared triumph, one that symbolized not just Oliver's talent, but the collective effort and sacrifices made by the entire Bearman family. For his team, this victory was a testament to Oliver's growth as a driver. They had seen him evolve from a promising young karting talent into a dominant force in Formula 4. Winning both the Italian and ADAC German championships was a rare feat, and it underscored Oliver's ability to compete at the highest level across multiple fronts. The team knew they had something special in Oliver, and his success was a reflection of their hard work and belief in his potential. This triumph also carried significant weight for Oliver on a personal level. It came after a particularly tough period in his career, where the pressure to perform had been immense. Balancing two championships had stretched him to his limits, both mentally and physically. There were moments during the season when fatigue and doubt crept in, but Oliver's determination never wavered. He had learned to handle the intense demands of the sport, and this victory was the ultimate reward for his perseverance. Moreover, the success at Monza was not an isolated event, but a continuation of a dominant season. With 17 wins between the two championships, Oliver had made it clear that he was not just another talented driver, he was a force to be reckoned with. His ability to perform under pressure, his tactical brilliance on track, and his unrelenting work ethic had marked him out as a future Formula One contender. That season, and the triumph at Monza, were pivotal in catching the eye of Formula One scouts, particularly those at Haas. They saw in Oliver a driver with not only the speed and talent but the mental toughness required to succeed at the highest levels of the sport. It was this victory that helped cement his place in the Haas Young Driver Academy, a significant milestone on his road to Formula One. Looking back, Oliver Bearman's triumph in the 2021 Formula 4 season was the moment that solidified his reputation as one of motorsport's brightest stars. It was a victory born out of resilience, hard work, and the ability to rise to the occasion when it mattered most. And as he celebrated that day with his family and team, it was clear that this was only the beginning of what promised to be an extraordinary career. Although Oliver Bearman is still in the early stages of his career, the trajectory of his journey so far hints at a legacy that could reshape the future of British motorsport. At just 19 years old, Bearman has already achieved remarkable success, and the racing world has taken notice. His dominance in Formula 4 and his rapid rise through the ranks to Formula 3 suggest that he is not merely a promising young driver, but a serious contender for a seat in Formula 1. As he races for the Haas team, his performances are not just about winning races, they are about cementing his place among the elite drivers of the future. Oliver's raw talent and racing intelligence have earned him the respect of team managers, competitors, and fans alike. His ability to adapt to new challenges, be it the jump from karting to single-seaters or the transition between Formula 4 and Formula 3, has been exceptional. People within the paddock are already talking about his potential to follow in the footsteps of greats like Lewis Hamilton or Jenson Button, drivers who took British motorsport to new heights. Some even see him as part of the next generation of Formula One stars who could shape the sport in the coming decade. The early signs of his potential legacy can be seen in his attitude toward racing. Oliver is not just fast, he is methodical, strategic, and composed under pressure. His career so far has been defined by his ability to perform at his best when it matters most. Whether it is dominating a championship or fighting for every position in a challenging race, Oliver has demonstrated that he is not easily rattled. This mental toughness is what sets him apart from many of his peers, and it hints at a future where he could become a consistent force in Formula One, a driver who is not just fast, but who can deliver results across an entire season. What also makes Oliver stand out is his relentless pursuit of improvement. Even with his impressive achievements, he remains hungry for more, constantly analyzing his performances and looking for areas to grow. This mindset is crucial for any driver hoping to succeed in Formula One, where the margins for error are razor-thin. His approach to racing, one that combines his natural talent with a deep understanding of the technical side of the sport, suggests that Oliver has the potential to leave a lasting impact not just as a driver, but as someone who could influence the development of the cars and teams he works with. At Haas, a team known for giving young drivers a chance to prove themselves, Oliver is aware of the immense opportunity and challenge that lies ahead. Formula One is a different beast, and while he has already shown flashes of brilliance, he knows that the road to sustained success in the sport is long and difficult. There are moments when the pressure is overwhelming, and the competition is fiercer than ever. But Oliver's calm and focused demeanor hints at a driver who is ready to face those challenges head-on. He understands that his journey in Formula One will be a marathon, not a sprint, and he is committed to learning and growing with every race. The excitement around Oliver's potential has been building ever since he joined the Haas Young Driver Academy. Many see his entry into the program as a sign that he is being groomed for a future in Formula One, and the question is not if he will make it to the grid, but when. Some pundits believe that with a few more years of development, he could become a key figure in the sport, perhaps even challenging for world championships if given the right machinery. His versatility, racecraft, and resilience suggest that he could thrive in the high-pressure world of Formula One, where the line between success and failure is often defined by mere tenths of a second. Beyond his on-track potential, there are early signs that Oliver Bearman could become a role model for younger generations of drivers. His journey, from a kid in Chelmsford with a dream to winning championships across Europe, shows what can be achieved through hard work, dedication, and the right support system. He has remained grounded, often attributing his success to his family and his team, and he carries himself with humility despite the growing hype around his name. In an era where many young athletes are thrust into the spotlight too soon, Oliver's quiet confidence and steady rise suggest that he is prepared for whatever fame and fortune Formula One might bring. Looking forward, Oliver views his future in motorsport with a clear sense of purpose. He knows that his journey is just beginning, and while he is proud of his accomplishments so far, he is under no illusions about the challenges that await him. Formula One is a cutthroat world, and only the very best survive. But Oliver has already faced adversity in his career and come out stronger, and this gives him confidence that he can handle whatever comes his way. His focus remains on the next challenge, the next race, the next step in his development as a driver. For now, Oliver Bearman is content to bide his time, knowing that his moment in Formula One will come. When it does, he will be ready, not just to compete, but to leave a legacy that could redefine what is possible for young British drivers. Whether he goes on to win world championships or simply becomes a consistent contender in the sport, there is little doubt that Oliver's impact on motorsport will be significant. As he continues to push the limits of his potential, the whispers about his future grow louder, and the belief that Oliver Bearman is a future star of Formula One becomes more certain with each passing race.